Amen. 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 Amen.
Episode 4 of Be Cool starts now. It is Wednesday, August 6th of 2014, and today's a very special day for the fact that I have a special guest, and not just only one, but I actually have 2 special guests with me today for y'all's enjoyment for this entire podcast, aka Francis Vallejo and Akira. She goes with my last name, but we'll just use Francis's last name. Akira Vallejo.
Should I take off my mask?
If you want to take off your mask,
Okay, I'll take off my mask. I know no one wanted to come here to see me, so, I tried to start it right.
So basically this podcast, since he's also my first guest that I'll be having, it's basically going to be a Francis Vallejo day, or night, or podcast, or hour, or 2 hours, however long this goes, because I'm pretty sure Francis has a lot of things that he will definitely love to tell us, and all the questions that will come up in my brain that will hopefully answer anything that y'all have for him as well. On top of it, make sure that you ask as many questions as you want on the chat, and I'll make sure Francis will answer each and every one of them. But how rated do you want this to be for yourself? You can rate it from a G all the way to triple X if you must.
Oh, we're doing real talk tonight, folks.
Real talk. So that means that you gotta answer pretty much like.
Well, Akira, our puppy's here, so we want to set an energy of honesty for her. So.
Okay. So for everyone that does not know who Francis Vallejo is, I will give it to him to give a quick little introduction of himself. Basically, think of it as if you were stranded on an island and you were going insane and you had to talk to yourself about who you are and what makes Francis Vallejo Francis Vallejo.
To many people, I'm known as L.Shima's boyfriend, but in fact, in actuality, I'm a failed rapper. I teach art among my normal work. I'm an artist, and when the first day of class, I like to tell the students, my first career option was basketball player, and then it was failed rapper, and then now I'm an artist. So to be serious though, I've worked in all sorts of industries. 2 days ago, I did that storyboarding gig for film. I've done comics, magazines, and I'm doing a kid's book now. I'm also a full-time dog watcher. So, yeah, I'm an artist. I make stuff. That's what I get paid to do. So it's a pretty sweet gig.
So I guess just tell everyone, what made you start in general. It is so weird because we're boyfriend and girlfriend. So, I already know most of these answers. So I have to pretend like I don't, which is ridiculous.
Well, it could be between 2 ferns. I don't know if I'm supposed to look at that or her.
I don't know. Just pick whatever you
want. I'm gonna look deep into your eyes. I don't know if it's between 2 ferns, and if we should make a shtick, make it awkward on purpose, but we probably shouldn't do that.
I mean, I feel like we'd be awkward no matter what. I mean, I feel like that's just our relationship.
We're smooth.
I mean, yeah, we're a smooth criminal, but I mean, just in general.
Okay, what was the question?
The question was, what began, what made you decide you want to become an artist in general? Was it something that you just saw one day? Was it something that you were just born with? Kind of elaborate on the beginning process.
I feel like around the time I was conceived and in the belly, it all revolves around my dad. Obviously, I mean, without my dad, I wouldn't be here. But no, I mean, as far as the creativity goes, because he was a rock and roll dude. Honestly, he was in a band. My mom toured with him. It was pretty sweet. And I'm sure when he found out I was going to be made, he wanted me to be a guitar player. You can ask him. So fast forward, and I'm created. I'm here on Earth. and next to my crib, next to my bed growing up, he puts a guitar. And honestly, you know, he was just trying to put that in there. You know, I was in the belly. He would put headphones on. He would play like Santana or anything like that. So yeah, he would always want me to express myself. So then go forward a couple of years, and you know, I was like 5. One of my earliest memories. You know, and we have a family get together in the basement. All the adults are upstairs. You know, probably drinking and doing what grown-ups do. And I was downstairs, and everyone's playing tag and whatnot, and I'm playing tag, killing it, you know. And my uncle comes down. My uncle, it might have been my Uncle Jack or my Uncle Brian. And you know, I'm taking a break, and I'm drawing, right? And he says, Francis, little Francis, you know, what do you want to be? And without any question, it was like, well, I want to be a comic book artist. You've heard this story so many times. And real talk, honestly, I was just a little whippersnapper, right? But I knew because I learned to read from Superman comic books, and you know, that's all I knew. And my dad playing the guitar, there's creativity around all over the place. So the idea of being a doctor or whatever, and no shots at doctors, much love, we need them. But I didn't really want to be that. I'm like, I can draw for a living, I can do cartoons. That was cool. And then just always, you know, like if I had free time, I was an only child. You know, my parents are working and whatnot. I'm gonna look like in between you and the camera.
Just do your thing.
So yeah, I'll end that with you know, only child, and I had to spend time doing something. So what you?
So is your father, who also I've met him, and he's a very, very well dapper gentleman, I must say.
He looks like John Stamos.
He doesn't look like John Stamos.
Yeah.
He does not look like John Stamos. Anyways, was he disappointed seeing that you never picked up the guitar and never really followed in his footsteps?
No, I don't think so. There was some time when he, I told you, when he like definitely was like trying to give me guitar lessons and everything, and I wasn't into it. I just wanted to draw Spawn. Because, you know, when I was young, the big comics were all the Image comics, like Spawn, McFarlane, Liefeld, Jim Lee, all those folks. And, you know, I would try to play my chords, is that what they call it, on the guitar?
Yeah, that's string. I have no idea.
Whatever. I think my dad even got me a right-handed guitar because he was left-handed, or something like that. All the musicians are going to hate me. But yeah, you know, he tried to push that on me. I wouldn't say force. But I just kept on drawing, and I think the fact I was expressing myself, he was into. Both my parents were super supportive.
So what does your mom do?
My mom is the most amazing killer stay-at-home mom. She would handle all the adult business, meaning my dad would go to work, grind it out, tear it up, and then, you know, then my mom would do all the groceries, all old school. You know, you don't see as many of those moms today. You know, cooking, running the household, you know, making sure I had all that I needed, driving me to all my different sports, like soccer, track, baseball. I mean, I was in everything, you know. I've been this skinny my whole life, just running around. So.
Yeah, it's funny for me because when I first met both of Francis's parents, I actually met his father first, and then eventually met his mom in at his childhood house. And it was interesting seeing her like just always in the kitchen cleaning or cooking, and I would always offer to help like do the dishes, and she's like, oh no, she
Laughing.
and her laugh is the most silliest laugh on the entire world, like in the most adorablest way you could possibly think of. He'll be on the phone telling her just a story or something that's hilarious, and I'll be in like a whole nother room and I can hear her laugh, and it's just, there's no laugh like it, and it makes me laugh hearing her laugh, and I don't know if she realizes that, but she's a really down to earth type of lady. But you did mention that you played a whole bunch of sports growing up. Was there anything that was like your go-to one that you always wanted to do?
Basketball, because that's the cool sport, right? I grew up in Detroit, you know, and in the city of Detroit, you ask anyone from Detroit, and L.Shima didn't, didn't believe me at first, but there's sort of like those that live in Detroit, and I'm gonna sound like a doucher, but those that live in Detroit, and then there's the suburbs, right? And it's just convenient. I get it to call, say that you live in Detroit, but generally it's the burbs, and the people that actually live in the city took a lot of pride in that because it's a very unique spot. Um, so sports. Yeah, so that was the area I grew up in, and I was on the Detroit side. So you hear about all the racial tension, and this comes back to all the sports. So the Warren side of 8 Mile, the same one from the movie and everything. Warren was where a lot of the white folks lived, and then my side, the Detroit side, which crossed over 8 miles, just like 20 feet, was that's where a lot of the black folks lived, and that's where I lived. So as being the white boy in that side of town, I've always felt like I kind of had to prove myself, so that meant being able to hoop, right? Um, and I'm 6 foot, but comparatively I'm short, so I had to be the one, right? And at the time, NBA Jam, NBA Street would come up, and we'd see like what were the moves? The one where you go like that and then duck under the ball and get it. Stupid, right? So long story short, basketball, because I was the one that was most impressive that could get me any sort of respect in the neighborhood, and I was into it.
And you mentioned that you lived in Detroit. You grew up in Detroit, 8 Mile, on the other side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
Were you influenced by being raised in Detroit,
Yeah.
especially in that certain area that you grew up in?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't joking. Like I really always did want to be a rapper, growing up, because I was a single child. Come here, kid. I was a single child, and what was the question? I'm the worst.
Basically, being born
in
and raised in
Detroit,
Detroit.
right. So yeah, I was a single child. I was introverted, and I didn't have a lot of confidence necessarily, except when I was drawing. So this thing called hip hop came out, and it was all over the place, especially on WJLB and everything in Detroit. I would go outside, everyone would be bumping the new at that time like Biggie Pac. It was at that time, right in the '90s. So I'm 28 now, and I heard these songs, and they're full of confidence, braggadocio, etc. And hearing that stuff was really big, because I felt like I related to it. It was honest. It was actually the environment I was in, and these guys were just so out there. And I'm like, man, I would love to be part of this culture. They got graffiti, breakdancing. So definitely that urban hip hop environment was a huge influence on me, my work, and just kind of the way the grind of Detroit is evident in everything I do.
Is the art scene very plentiful in Detroit? Like, do you see a lot of artists come from that city? Or is it something where you just like, you gotta make it hard to even just dust the surface off?
I wouldn't say not as much, not as much as a place like L.A. or New York.
Yeah, the bigger cities.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit, it's usually like, you work in a factory or you get a very practical job. It's a very practical city. Or, you play basketball or you're a rapper. Those are the things. So actually, like drawing, that's not normal.
So, you lived in Detroit. You grew up in a nice household where your parents actually, helped you become who you were today, which is a fun young gentleman, I would say. So, what were the steps that led you to kind of where you are now? Like, did you take art classes through standard school? Did you eventually go to college for it? Exactly, like, what was the educational direction that you took to become to where you are now?
So yeah, I was the art guy. Any art guys are on this or watch it. Yeah, I was the art guy in elementary school. I would always draw South Park characters. I wanted to impress the girls. I would try to draw them in the corner of class. And eventually I was able to impress one girl with my drawing. And then I went into high school and I got more into sports. And that was interesting because I was still in the art lifestyle, but then there's also the jock side of things. So combining those two, I think, was important for me. And, you know, after I realized the sports things wasn't going to work out, I really pushed art more. And I dropped a lot of fancy classes I might have been taking. Like, it was really encouraged for me to take AP classes, like, you know, the physics and the math and everything like that, which I did pretty good in, but I didn't enjoy them. So I dropped all that senior year. I'm like, I'm going to take as many art classes as possible. And I drew in the boiler room of the school because they didn't know what to do with me. I took every art class possible.
Yeah.
So I'm down there, you know, Detroit winters are cold as hell. So I'm down there and I'm like drawing all the tubes, and that piece was in a portfolio for college. Also, a big thing is in Michigan, is a lot, in the Midwest, is a lot of people like to stay there. Like, they're born there.
Stay in the city themselves that they grew up in.
Yeah, and that's fine. And, you know, they stay in the city, they stay in the Midwest, your family's at, you know. But when I had the option to go somewhere, my dad traveled the country. He hitchhiked across the country, which is a crazy story. So when I had the chance to look at colleges everywhere, I looked at, like, the one in downtown Detroit, CCS.
Yeah.
I didn't know what composition was in art, which those that know, you know, picture making and everything, that's like a fundamental. I didn't know what that word meant. And I also didn't have the right number of pieces to get into certain schools. So I went to a college fair, and there's a school called Ringling College of Art and Design, at the time Ringling School, and it was in Sarasota, Florida. And I was going through the book, and I seen palm trees, and like under a palm tree was like this pretty girl, which of course was their marketing. And I seen that, and I'm like, oof.
You had to go.
Stop it. What? Like, I can, from gray skies to palm trees and, like, you know, whatever stucco, you know, architecture they have down here,
Yeah.
sun. What? So I applied, and they said, yeah, you come down to the school, you can get in. So I remember hugging my pops and going here. So then, to wrap this up, I started out as an animation major because they told me I'd make the most money. Obviously, 18-year-old.
Ringling told you you'd make enough more money from doing animation?
Right, yeah. So the career advisor was like, you want to do animation, that's the most jobs, the most money. I did that for 3 years. I had a panic attack right before my senior year because I had to do a giant thesis, which is a huge amount of work. Computer animation is epic, the work they put in. I was about to start my senior thesis, and I dropped it because at the whole time I was, you know, doing a lot of drawing, just actual drawing. Computer animation, you're in the computer and a lot of graphs, etc., like that. It's a lot of technical aspects to it. But in illustration, like, I felt I could just draw. That's what I got into it for, and it took a while for me to understand that. So I switched to illustration. Had some good success, got into some publications, started working professionally, graduated, went back to Detroit. I wanted to study over at Russia to improve my skills. That didn't work out. Sold everything I had. I moved back to Detroit. And then that takes us to Austin, Texas, where two people met.
Texas. So yeah, basically, for y'all that do not know, or I don't even know if I actually ever posted this story, really. I mean,
Exclusive.
The exclusive story of Francis and Laura. Anyways, so basically, I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, and I started modeling. Excuse our little pup; she will bark and do other things, but. Born and raised Austin, Texas, and I started modeling, like I mentioned in my earlier episodes. I didn't know where to begin, so I just went on Model Mayhem, started emailing and messaging all sorts of different photographers and people in general in the industry to help push my portfolio in a different direction and help me get started in the career of modeling. And so throughout all the research on Model Mayhem, I stumbled across a young artist that was in Austin, Texas, whose bio basically said that they were looking for models to figure pose for their art school that they teach at, and they also lead the studio for. So I thought that would be a nice little gig for me to do and give it a try to see if I actually enjoyed it. And so I contacted Francis, who was the artist, and sent a basically simple message. And I think actually Francis knows exactly what I wrote in that message.
Yeah, I mean, let me give a little background. You want to tell them the story of how we crossed paths?
I mean, like the exact. What do you mean exactly?
I think they'd be interested in how we met. It's pretty spectacular.
Okay, go ahead and say.
Well, so I was leading a studio in Austin, Texas. It was called the Art Department. It was a school and a studio, and I ran the figure drawing. So you have the artists, and then you have the nude model, and I walk around and I teach the students how to draw and observe what they see, so on and so forth. So I had just got a job there, and I started using this Model Mayhem website to find a lot of the girls and men, whomever, to pose. And so one day, I just got my job. I'm still getting my initial models, and I get a message from this young lady. Looked a lot different, short little hair.
Short hair, red.
Really?
18 years old.
18. Yeah, I was old at that time. I was like 24,
oh,
right? Yeah.
Oh Lord.
And she said, and it was all professional, to be honest. And she's like, I am interested in what you are offering, right?
I don't even really remember what I wrote, but he
interested.
screenshot it and saved it on his computer. So every once in a while, every 6 months, he'll send me the picture of what I sent with my old school photo that I had as my profile image.
Well, that was an interesting introduction. I'm interested in what you're offering.
So of course he said, "Yeah, come to my studio." No, obviously it was more professional.
No, I was hesitant.
Well,
because you were young.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is true.
She wanted to get right into the nudie posing, and I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes here. Especially because she was a little younger, and I had just got the job. I'm like, okay, I was like, let's get you into a portrait first, clothed portrait, right?
But I wanted the monies. So yeah, so my story after doing that, this was going to be my first time figure modeling for a studio, for an artist, for anything along those lines. So the location was in downtown Austin, so I'm driving, and no matter what type of gig I have, I always make sure that I'm super early just to scope out the area, or like exactly on time if I'm running a little late. So I was super early for the figure session that Francis and I scheduled for each other. And I kind of scoped out the area. I'm like, all right, I'm pretty sure I know where it's at. I waited. I actually parked my car at the local IHOP right next, not next door, but a couple feet down.
And this was 6th Street on Austin, which is the main party street, which is the weirdest location for a school.
It's super weird, but it's kind of like the one in Sears. Anyways, so I parked my car at a local IHOP and waited until it was at least maybe 15 minutes till just text Francis to say, hey, I'm actually in the area. Do you mind if I actually kind of stop in and just get myself situated since I'm a little early? And he's like, yeah, that's no problem. So I parked my car. And as I'm walking in, I'm hesitant because I'm like, what am I getting myself into? And prior to this entire day, I did my research. I tried looking up Francis and seeing who he was and get as many photos as I can from him just so I know who I'm dealing with. And the only photo that I found from this guy is a digital piece that he made of himself.
It was a 3D model I made while I was in animation.
I swear, that picture, it made him look like a pedophile. I literally looked at myself and I'm like, what the hell am I doing right now? I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I don't know who this person is. He looks like he's gonna kill me. I don't know what to do. But it was already too late because I was already there. So I might as well, and I wanted to get paid as well. I will admit that. And so I walk into his studio, I turn the corner, and there he is on his computer, lifts up as soon as I say, Francis, and he comes and shakes my hands, and it was a very professional thing, but lo and behold, deep down inside in both of our minds, we were both shaking and nervous and like mind blown because we were so attracted to each other. It was ridiculous. But the funny fact is, like, neither of us knew that we were attracted to each other.
I professionally couldn't be attracted to you.
Well, and I could be attracted to him, but I just wanted to be professional too.
Well, I just got my job, so I can't like hit it off with the first pretty model that came in there. I'm like, no way. I'm like, stop it. Don't even do that.
So when I had my first bigger modeling session with him, it was him, our roommate at the time after we started dating and we first moved in together, Orlando, and then a few other students were there. He introduced me to the students and Orlando and showed me a quick little tour of the studio, and he kind of left me alone so he could get all the stuff together, the platform, the lighting, get the students together and make sure that they're, on top of their game. And the only person that really did talk to me was Orlando and a few students. And so,
let me cut you off there. So there's like easels, right? I'm setting up the space. There's these big easels, and we put drawing boards in front of them. So she came in. I said put on a black dress, but you came in looking like you're about to go clubbing.
I mean, I'm 18 and I didn't know what like black dress I should have brought, so I just brought the most form-fittingest like cutout dress I owned.
Our dog is literally in the closet.
Yeah, I know. I saw her.
If you could see our dog, should I show him?
If you want. She's probably gonna get up as soon as.
If you can see it, there's a dog in the closet. She's never been there ever. Anyways, so so I'm setting up the easel. I have the drawing board. She's in this like tight little dress or whatever, and I'm like, no, you gotta, do your thing. So I am, but like in the drawing boards, there's like this little cutout hole where you hold it to put your hand, and I'm like super like
peeking at me.
I'm like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous.
This is the first time ever me hearing this. I did not know you were peeking at me. But while that's going on, I'm sitting on the floor waiting for the entire thing to begin. I had a little post-it note. You don't have your wallet, do you, by any chance? No, like on you, like at the second. I had a little post-it note, and usually every time when I'm super early to a gig and I'm just waiting for the photographer or somebody to set up and need my assistance, I usually just dabble things on a piece of paper or a note just so it looks like I'm busy, even though like I'm actually not. I'm just bullshitting. So I had this post-it note, and I was like, all right, I wrote the date, things that needs to be done today. And one of the things that I wrote was this artist, Francis, is like super mega hot. I don't know the exact words I put, but I put along those words like, man, this artist is damn just on fire right now. And so that was kind of our first moment meeting each other, and the figure session went awesome. I was like nervous when he'd come close to me because the only time he would talk to me was when he needed me to like move my arm, or 15 seconds is up, do another pose, or here's your check, have a great day.
Well, yeah, and something that freaked out all the models I work with is when you're drawing from life or drawing from a subject, you have to squint, right? Because when you're trying to record something, there's an overabundance. I think it's easier if I talk to you.
It doesn't matter.
There's an overabundance of information, so you want to simplify it so that you can convey what you really want to say. Meaning, instead of looking at it with your open eyeballs, you want to like go like this. Am I right? Was I always doing this?
Yeah, everyone knew Francis Vallejo's pose, his art pose.
Oh, how did it go?
You're right-handed, so he would have his left hand behind his back, squint. He had the easel right here in front of him, and he would just, like, I don't know how to hold it.
No, it's
pencil in your right hand.
You gotta go like.
And then, like, look behind the easel, and then dap, look behind the easel.
But I'd always have on, like, hip-hop beats, or what, so, you gotta wait for the beat to drop and not. So.
So that began the Francis and L.Shima relationship, kind of, and the entire thing. We kept it professional for a very long time, kept it deep down inside of us that we just were so attracted to each other until one day, actually, while I was working 2 jobs, one of the jobs was a hotel, as a receptionist, this 12-year-old girl comes and steals my phone, and before that I told her all about Francis and all this stuff. She smartly, I just made up a word, but whatever. She found Francis's number, texted him, "Hey, what's up?" And I freaked out because me and Francis never spoke on that like level before. Everything was there, always professional, very straight to the point, and just point blank of a period. I don't know. But that like broke everything. I freaked out, instantly texted him back like, "Oh, sorry, that was a 12-year-old girl." And as I texted that, he said, "Hey," like in a more like interested way. And he was like, "Oh, well, did you mean to send that?" I'm like, "Well, I guess I meant to send it."
At that point in my head, I said, "Okay, we're never hiring you again." Because I can't, right? You can't. You get a new job or whatever. You can't start dating the people that you're hiring, right? That's no good.
No,
So at that point, no more modeling at that place.
Well, we also made sure for like a few months we kept it secret, just to not make everyone all weird at the studio.
Yeah, we're joking, but yeah, it was super legit. Like we did it the right way, I think.
Yeah,
you know?
we handled it pretty. I remember the first time we like basically came out as a couple. It was like one of those like celebrity moments where like you don't know if they're dating, but you kind of know they're dating, and then they show up at an event together, like arm in arm, like kissing all each other.
The thing I was drawing there?
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah. Anyways, enough about me. More about you, sir. It's your moment. Speaking of our relationship, I'm sure some people are very curious on this question, but basically, how is it like to date a model? I mean, I guess you can use me as an example. I mean, I'm sure I'm completely different than a lot of models, but just the general, what you go through with me and my craziness and what have yous.
When I brought this up to my friends, it was kind of interesting. When you bring it up to people in general, I say, well, I date a model, and then perhaps they might see the work, and their response is, she's doing nudes, right? Like, it's a secret. Like, I don't know. She's doing it behind my back. That takes a lot of people off balance. They don't know how to react to that, and they say that, are you comfortable with that? That's crazy. But that is literally how we met. I was on 2 or 3 times a week. I was hiring
naked people,
naked folks, primarily women, to pose at my studio. And she was shooting photography, sometimes nude, so we got into the relationship. So you can imagine, though, there might be problems if I was an accountant or whatever, and we were dating, and then halfway in our relationship, she said she wanted to start doing nude photography or modeling.
Yeah.
That would probably be weird, huh?
Yeah. I'm sure, like, a lot of people go through that, too, because they would be dating, like, a model would be dating just a random guy, schmo, and she just starts doing modeling. And I've heard a lot of stories where a lot of boyfriends aren't supportive whatsoever towards the female. There was one person, I won't give out the location because I feel like that will pinpoint them, and also won't obviously give out names. But I stayed with them for a while I was on my traveling trip, and they were the most sweetest people, especially the model. She was very sweet and very, down to earth and everything like that. And so was the boyfriend. He was nice too. But I got this weird feeling because she did a lot of nudity work, and every time when she would mention it, she loved it. She did it full time. It was her job, and she enjoyed doing it. But her boyfriend wasn't doing anything along those lines. But when he would talk about that subject, he kind of was very hesitant about it. Kind of gave her a little dirty, not really dirty look, but just a very judgmental-ish type of look. And you could kind of tell that he wasn't comfortable with what she did, but it did pay bills, so it was kind of one of those things where he was undecisive if it was, a good thing or not, but she loved it, but just you could tell.
Well, to some guys, for their girls to do what you do, they would just assume it's the same thing as porn. I mean, that's like a thing that you have to fight all the time.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with nude folks such a long time that if like a nude person walked in front of here, it'd be no sweat, no problem whatsoever. So I just thought she's just expressing herself. Now if she wants to start going into like this girl action and all this other stuff, then that might be a conversation. But it's really been a non-issue, 100% honest. It's like not been a non-issue, and I think that's what allows our relationship to work. Because she was going on a trip, and I was like, hey, Shima, I'm going to have this girl come over, and she's going to shoot some photos for so-and-so. And I'm sure it crossed your head like, oh, but then it was cool. No big
Yeah,
deal.
man, no big deal whatsoever.
That's what it is. That's how we operate. As far as the other aspects of it, as a model, random schedule, on the computer a lot. Who else is like that? So I mean, there's a lot of similarities. I make my own schedule for the most part. So
yeah, we're both freelance artists in a certain
yeah.
way, with different art, but basically freelancing it up.
And this girl over here, she's super normal. She's pretty normal. I'm pretty normal in a sense. I mean,
well, I'm like awesomely normal.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta make me seem like I'm like, somebody.
You're not boring. You're not boring normal. But
I'm just normal.
But okay, she's not high maintenance. I think that's what we watch cartoons in the morning.
Yeah.
We rock out oatmeal.
Still cut.
Check it out. Wait, look, slipper gang.
Mine has holes in it.
I have 2 different slippers.
Oh, if you're curious, all the ones that want to see my feet, here's your opportunity. I mean, obviously it's not naked, but it's
see that close up.
Yeah, it's a nice addition.
So there's not a lot of model pretentiousness that might come with it.
Yeah.
I think we keep each other grounded. We have some really great friends. So it's the core aspects of what some people would say is controversial. I think it's not issues to us. So
no, we've seen though, as we do, cause he's heavy into the modeling industry in the sense of like, how would you describe your situation in my career?
Well, when you decided to start modeling seriously, I had already established myself as an artist. I'm talking a long time. If you want to look up my work, it's FRAN. You can type it.
I'm gonna type it. Okay, just keep talking.
What was it? I keep losing my train of thought.
You're so just all over the place. You were talking about I don't remember typing. The last thing you were talking about was man.
Let's go. Let's wait. Anyways, yeah. First interview process.
I know. I'm just imagining how I'm gonna be like with all the other people I interview, and how that situation, especially the ones that don't know me.
We were talking about how I work with you.
Yeah. We don't ever. Okay. We try to figure out so many handshakes.
All right, so I had already established myself as an artist, so on and so forth. And she's like, on New Year's Day. New
Year's Day, we went to Contigo.
La Contessa. Great place in Austin. And we were talking, I'm like, you should really focus on your modeling more. And I'm like, well, I've managed to create a freelance lifestyle. I can help you with that. And that's just what it is, I've offered whatever advice I could on how to build a brand, to market yourself, to contact people, to be proactive, to create a unique portfolio, find your personal voice, all the stuff that's involved with being an artist.
Yeah.
So, and that's where we're at now, except you pretty much took over and I just advised.
Yeah, he's helped me a lot with the business side of everything. And that day, on New Year's Day of 2012, it was 2012 at La Condesa. In my opinion, La Condesa was okay. I've had better, but obviously it's a very expensive place too.
The burritos were money.
What burritos? They didn't have a burrito.
They had burritos. You wrap it up. It's a burrito.
They had like little wooden planks that had barely any food on it. Whatever. Anyway.
She's the drunk one.
But he's helped me with my business a lot. And that day, I asked him. He mentioned me doing modeling, more heavy. And I told him I'm totally down as long as you can help me, because I don't know where to start really. Other than just shoot photos. And so he's helped brand L.Shima, which has been very beneficial. And I always thank him. There's times where he will research, and he'll I don't even know how any of this goes through his head, but he goes and does research for certain things through art, through modeling, through all this other stuff. And he'll tell me, okay, you do this, you research this certain subject, and I can't find an appropriate article or whatever, but he goes on the internet and finds something within seconds. And I've been sitting there for 30 minutes trying to figure out the same exact situation. And somehow his business is just like, I don't know what's in this brain of his, but it's ridiculous. There'll be times he just randomly is doing dishes, and he's like, you know what, I got an idea. And he just trails off with this awesome, badass idea. But in my head, I'm like, how the fuck did you even think of that? Like, seriously.
Well, this is how I think a good way of ideating works. When you're going to do something, especially if it's a creative endeavor, you first want to research it and create a visual vocabulary to yourself of what it is you're trying to do, whether it's a photo shoot, if it's an illustration, if it's a book cover, if it's a song, whatever. You want to look at how others have done that in the past.
Yeah.
So say for instance, I'm about to get nerdy, warning. You're trying to do a book cover, so you're going to look at graphic artists like Mike Mignola. You're going to look at people like maybe Norman Rockwell and his philosophy on calendar images and cover images versus narrative images. You might look at N.C. Wyeth, then you might look at maybe like Vogue magazine, and they all have in common. What do they have in common? They're bold and graphic. So you combine all those things and you put them in a blender, right? And you look at them and you're aware, okay, now these are my options. So that was a cover. If say you're a model, right, and you're about to go to a shoot and the photographer says, well, what kind of shoot you want to do, there's a potential to be like, well, I don't know. But what you could do as a model is prepare before that shoot, look at a ton of shoots prior, and say you take the lighting from whomever, whatever photographer, you take the lighting from that photographer, perhaps the concept from this photographer, you do all that, you describe that, and then you add your little flavor, your little your own character into it, and your own unique product is going to arise. And I think that's something that that I've taught myself to do with literally everything. Like, if you have to do a poster or I have to do a poster, like, I haven't studied typography, I've learned it organically. So if, you know, I'm going to do a typographic poster and it's all hand done and it has a figure in the center and everything's going to be on the side, teaser, then I'm going to go on a couple sites that I know that puts really high-end design, and it's all about building your own taste.
Yeah.
Right? That's a skill. You're not born with good taste. You have to develop it, put conscious effort into it. So then you go to a site that you've already determined has good taste. You look at everything and you say, okay, I like these couple ones. You set them out in a big orgy of images, and then you pull from that. And you can do that with images. You can do that with philosophy, right? You know, if you want to talk about your view on whatever you want to talk about, it could be religion, it could be personal development, it could be how to raise our dog. You know, you're going to want to look at, here's how a lot of people in the past have raised dogs. This person says that you should yank hard on the collar. Another person says you shouldn't. What collar should you use? So you take all that, you filter it with your own prerogatives, your own ideas, your own experiences, and then you create your own idea. So part of being an artist is questioning everything. That should be just part of being a human, but especially with an artist. And if you have that curiosity, you're going to create that exciting work.
Yeah, it was definitely something that I learned from Francis. When I first started, I had no idea I'd be getting myself into the situation of like researching all these models and photographers and all this different aesthetic that these people do and use, and try to brand myself in my own character, but as well as making sure that I have top quality images that are very high end and that have good taste, so everybody.
Taste is so important.
He is right. Like, you literally do not just are born with good taste. It's something that you just gotta keep constantly researching, and your taste is always gonna change. I remember when I first started modeling, I thought this one photographer in Austin was so badass that I needed to shoot with them, and then I move here and keep hustling and grinding in my career, and I look back on their work, and I'm like, it's not as good as it used to be. I don't know if it's just...
Well, it's just not where you want your work to be at now.
No, and I know that's true, but it's interesting. But as far as you helping me on business, did you ever take business classes for you to understand all this logistics?
No, and I say this with no joking. I learned it all from rap, 100%. So I'm gonna give one of my long explanations. I'm gonna remember the question. So we're talking about did I study business?
Yes.
Did I study business? Um, so yeah, I didn't have the internet growing up. Well, I had Juno CDs that I would kind of like bootleg around, and like I would get my like week free, and then I would remake a new password, all this stuff, right? And I had an old 56K modem. Uh, so when I went to art school, built-in internet every computer. Outside of certain worlds that opened up to me because of that, there were also I can listen to any rap song basically that I wanted to, and you talk to any of my buddies at that time, like I would spend all this time in the studios, you know, putting in the work for my own artwork, but then I would spend like 3 additional hours not sleeping putting together like mixes, like putting like Kanye West just came out, gotta get that Kanye, throwing a little Mos Def, all this other stuff. So at that time, blogs were becoming new.
Yeah.
And like I literally remember, shout out to my homie Dustin, Darnell, heydusty.com. Check it out. I'm sure he's like working on 10 projects right now.
I'm sure people don't know how to spell his last name.
No, hey, Hey, Dusty, Dusty.
Oh. Okay, check it out. It's badass.
He's like, bro, do you know what a blog is? I'm like, that sounds stupid. Literally, I didn't know what it was. It wasn't a thing. So, so I created a blog to promote my artwork and show my parents. But I take it back, not to promote my artwork. I wanted to show my parents what I was doing. And also at the time, rappers were starting to post on sites like NahRight.com. Y'all know NahRight, 2DopeBoys, etc.com, .blogspot, stuff like that. So that I could work on art and then go to a site that would tell me all the music out. I was in heaven. So by proxy, I started to see and started to notice trends. Like I was like on it. I did not miss a post. I seen like, you know, Kanye West. He dropped College Dropout. He was on these remixes. They have to have images for every post. So he's like creating custom album artwork. He's doing this or that. And you move forward. You know, you got like nowadays Jay-Z with the Samsung deal. You got Beyonce not doing any promotion. Alternative deals. You got like people like Odd Future that purposely make content hard to get, so you make it a scavenger hunt. So making it harder to get makes it people want it more. That's a crazy idea. So observing all these things by observing hip hop, something I legitimately cared about, informed how to put out creative content, and that's where all the business and the marketing came from. And along with like being professional, being articulate, saying what needs to be said, and just going for it. You know, being proactive, not waiting for things to come to you. That's the worst possible thing you can do, is waiting for things to come to you. You got to message 500 people and expect to get one response.
It's not going to happen. Nothing's going to come to you.
Obviously, I like Kanye West. After they said he couldn't rap, did he stop? Nope. No, sir.
And I'm sure there's tons of people that actually are like hating us right now for just even mentioning Kanye's name, but
oh, stop it.
You gotta overlook. I mean, if you wanna like never watch my podcast ever again, or never like support Francis and I for the rest of your life, that's fine. But Kanye West actually is pretty like extraordinary when it comes to the artistic side of his like mind, as well as his rapping too. I mean,
what was this quote? I'm doing dope shit. My name's Kanye. I'm doing dope shit. What is it?
Yeah, some of those lines. Yeah, he's Kanye. Anyways. So the question was though, did you go and take a class?
No, I mean, yeah, I didn't. I learned it from hip hop, and the way I teach my students is that you have to look at business not as something that you wear a suit and that's boring and you do W-9 contracts and 360 deals or whatever, all these sort of deals and negotiations and lawyers and everything. That is part of it, But if you look at business as a creative extension of whatever you're doing, whether that's modeling or illustration or a bakery, exactly, then it's going to be genuine. You're going to care about it, and it's going to work. But marketing has a connotation of being really like white collar, which I mean, I guess it kind of can be, but you can really go guerrilla style and make it fun and interesting, and those are the people that get noticed. So that's my view on business.
And in my view too, as also learning from Francis, I'm like kind of like his prodigy in a way, but in a way, I guess. Yeah.
You teach me too.
Why not? You know. Anyways, but with the business side, in my personal opinion as well, I'm a 22-year-old female that grew up in Austin, Texas, that poses for a living, and I didn't take any business class whatsoever. I hated economics when I was in high school. It scared the shit out of me, and it still scares the shit out of me. I took maybe one like online or like computer class just to get familiar with the computer and like Excel and all that crazy stuff. But those are basically the closest things to business that I ever taught myself in an educational atmosphere. And so today, I realize, and same with Francis, we realize so many people are going to school, going to universities and colleges just to get a business degree or just to get a marketing degree and things along those lines, degrees along those lines. And in my head, I'm thinking, why? Why just spend all that money to do something that you could probably learn on your own from looking at other people that have started their own careers and, throwing yourself into the water of sharks? Because I feel like that's kind of a good way of learning, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's finding a mentor. I mean, I'm going to slightly disagree a little bit, babe, in that I think there's value in getting a formal education and knowing your paperwork type of stuff. But I think how I would tweak what you said in my own view is that you don't necessarily have to go to school for that. It's important to learn it, but you can get that through a mentor. Now with the internet, you can find anything. But to really make the marketing work, there has to be a flavor to it, if you know what I mean. Like, if you want to talk about an artist, right? You see a lot of artists that can draw really photo real, and that's impressive, kind of. I mean, I'm not into that stuff, but I respect the craft. But say you can take someone that can draw, and they learn how to draw, they know how to render, they know gesture, they know all this other stuff, expressions. They learn the craft of it, right? But then they add a certain flavor. Like Picasso could draw amazing. He's a very good draftsman. He was a prodigy when he was a young kid. He can draw as realistic as you possibly wanted. So he got so good, he's seen the top of the mountain, and he said, well, I want to add a little flavor to this. What if every one of my characters was flat? And I would play with actual dimension on a three-dimensional canvas. How can I project 2 dimensions onto that? All this other philosophy. So he added a flavor to it. So if you learn the formal aspects of business or whatever you're learning, add your own flavor to it. That's really important. Like if your textbooks say you have to approach a client and you shake their hand and you talk about the project and then you say goodbye and that's it. That's totally fine, and that's what you learn in school. But what happens if you wear a red suit? You shake their hand and accidentally drop your portfolio on the floor, and then when you shake your hand again at the end, you give them your business card that says Google me, and then with your name on it, and then you accidentally like plant your friend to when they're in line at a restaurant later on, stand behind them and say, oh man, have you seen the work of L.Shima lately? Right? And that guy's like, L.Shima must be popping, right? So if you add that layer of flavor, I think that's the cool part, and that's not to take away from the book smarts of whatever. But I think especially with the way things are going today, so many people are going to college, you're getting formal educations, and that's great. Education is life, right? That's good. But then since so many people are taught the same things, then how are you going to separate yourselves? That's the big question. And I think personally that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you would say if somebody that went to Ringling's, college and got, what degree did you get? Just the
illustration, BFA.
BFA.
Yeah.
For all the artists out there that are trying to hustle and trying to make it out there, would you recommend them going to school with what you just said? Even if you were just talking about business, but I would assume art school still falls along the lines of similar to what you said.
So I'm going to answer your question again, but I have to say that a lot of people go into art school when they're 18 years old. And as an 18-year-old, you don't know shit, right? You don't know anything. You probably just want to, get with a babe or a dude that you think is cool. You want to make some money. You want to party a little bit, so on and so forth. So that's the trick, is that you have people that, just want to do those things, and they're making major life decisions, particularly financial decisions, on where they're going to put the money for 4 years in something that they might not even use. So to tell those people to be really smart and responsible with their money and their development as adults, that's a really hard thing to do. And I understand that, but the key though is these young folks have to understand college isn't necessarily the only option. A formal education isn't really the only way, especially with how expensive it is. Real talk, I owe like $140,000. I really like to say that I owe that amount of money, because whatever young artist may or may not see this at any point has to know that when they go to school, that's how much it costs. It's another conversation about what I got from that $140,000. So it could be valuable to go to art school. It's work for some people. It doesn't work for others. For other people, it could be valuable to find a mentor. Other people just study if they're really entrepreneurial and they can focus on their own projects in their own home. Then they can just learn on their own on the internet. If you have a personality that's more ADD, which I don't really think is I don't know. If you have an ADD type personality, right, you need to help focus, then maybe go into a formal building with other people. That's good. But college isn't the only answer. I think you have to weigh other options, and I think with the current generations, they're understanding that. Perhaps my generation, your generation, thought that college was what you had to do. There wasn't any thought, should I go to college? It's like, yeah, that's just what I do, right? That's dumb. That's like, should I drink water? I just go to college. But that system's failing. And I think there's going to be a huge shift in the way that higher education and the value of it is going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. I don't want to say not go to a 4-year formal college, especially with some instances like a doctor. I'm a little ignorant in that field, but it would make sense to get that formal education. You don't want a doctor that just heard on the internet that you want to slice into their brain in this spot, right? They have to know it exactly. But in certain other areas, you can probably get the information otherwise and explore those options. There's not just one way.
Spoken like a true genius.
I'm not a genius.
I'm trying to have like a little connective.
We're all scholars, right? We're all scholars.
So typically my podcasts usually are an hour, but this one has already gone a little over.
What?
I'm not trying to rush anyone, but if you want to leave, you can leave. But I mean, if you're willing to still talk a little bit longer,
We have a question.
No, I definitely was Raymond Matters. Both questions are from Raymond Matters. I've been looking at your question, Raymond, and I've been making sure that I was not going to forget to have Francis ask or answer this.
That's funny. I didn't see the first one.
Do you want to read the questions?
Is the picture in the background your work?
So this picture, actually, I hosted a model, Jordan Bunny, actually. She stayed and slept on this couch. And right before she left, she's like, what's the history behind this, this piece? And I'm like, there's nothing. I just found it at a Goodwill and, thought that it was pretty dope. And she's like, that thing, scared the shit out of me. And I'm like,
it's kind of like a hipster piece. Like, it's so kitschy and old and cute. It's cool now.
It's made out of, woven fabric of some sort.
All right. For all the art nerds, if you squint your eyes and look at it, it is an appealing pattern. It just happens to be like little doll kids.
Oh yeah, and they're all white.
Yeah, they're kind of pervin.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So, is that your work?
That's not mine. I think it's fresh though.
Oh, we kind of have to like also. I mean, you have to keep in mind that for the MP3, should have described the piece that we're staring
Oh, I
at.
did. It's a bunch of like cool patterned, old school looking kids that are perving, looking all creepy.
I have to keep in mind with the MP3, the podcast for anyone that actually just listens to this,
Yeah.
or even just plays the video. Because usually when I listen to podcasts like DVD ASA, I play the video, but I listen to it. I'd never actually.
But they want to see you.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying that some people are like, I don't know. Some people might be on. I don't know. Some people like my voice maybe and just want to hear me.
I do both. I would watch you, and then when I go to the gym, I would listen to you.
Sounds kind of creepy. Just like, oh, L.Shima.
So, Francis, where did you take L.Shima on your first date?
Oh, this is a controversial one.
Super controversial. I was super broke, so at the time, and I think I literally had negative money in my bank account. So I was like, well, I can't really do much. It was late because I was opposed to the idea of dating at that time. I was trying to really grind out a career. I was working, epic hours. So I'm like, well, you can come over at like 10 at night and we can just like hang out at my place. And I know that's like alluding to I was trying to get some action or something. I wasn't. I'm like, I think this is my only option. So that was like the first date. She doesn't call it a first date.
No, it wasn't
That's
a first
super
date.
First.
It
That's
was not
definitely
a first
date.
date.
It was really smooth.
It was like a hangout.
We had wonderful conversation.
I mean, it was awesome. It was sweet and it was nice, and he had like a red couch, and it was really sweet and endearing.
I had a Corona.
We had a Corona,
and
he put on the Quiet Storm.
The Quiet.
Yeah,
was it Sunday Night Slow Jam?
Oh, in Austin in Austin it was Sunday Night Slow Jams, but here in Sarasota it's Quiet Storm.
Yeah, Sunday Night Slow Jams.
But it was not a first date. I don't know if, with that said though, technically I don't even know what our first date was. I just know that.
After that, then we started like running at the park and going to the park. Notice, underline, no money. Going to the park, right? Team frugal.
He didn't even have a car when we started dating either.
No,
he got one right when we started, but he didn't have one when we actually started.
And no joking though, that kind of shows how fresh of a girl she is. Like she was legitimately interested in me. So.
Yeah, not the money. I'm interested in him. Just look at your smile.
We're gonna edit that out.
No, I'm not. It's my favorite. Okay. Anyways, so.
Is there there's a few folks in here. Is there any questions for? It could be on anything. I mean, I could talk about art all night.
He can talk about models. He can talk about photography. He can talk about business. You can talk about raising a psycho maniac Weimaraner. That's a serious job.
And if you're not interested in me, you could talk to Shima.
What's up? I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be mad at that. Looks like Alejandro is a photographer.
Alejandro!
Shout out to the photographers.
Why do you think he's a photographer? Because it says photo? I mean, Alejandro, are you a photographer? We're gonna debate about this. Because anyone could put photo on there. He's probably not gonna respond. He's probably just gonna like chill out and just watch. Anyways.
Okay.
Francis Vallejo! Yes, sir.
How was it?
Yeah, what? Get on my face.
L.Shima's getting a little frisky over here. How is it dating an illustrator?
Well, I will still say the similar thing. We both understood what we were getting ourselves into with this relationship, knowing that I came to pose for his class nude, and he draws females and males nude for a living. So we both had an understanding. we both had an understanding of what we did for a living. The only difficulty that I suffer with Francis is for the fact that his scheduling is all over the place, but like he's a psycho workaholic. Like I don't even work as hard. Like I feel bad for not working as hard as him. And a lot of times I try to be just as awesome as he is. And I mean, he always tells me he has 8 years of experience up his sleeve compared to me. But still, I'm always trying to like,
12.
whatever. God, see, he's already trying to be like winning up on me and stuff.
I don't help you. Stop it.
But it's interesting because I have to basically force him. Not really. I don't force you. I kind of do. But like I've cooked dinner and I need to make sure like he's gonna eat with me because when I eat really fast and he eats really slow, so I would like us to eat together like a unit. But I have to make sure that he comes home at a certain time and he's not in the studio cranking away. I have to make sure he's eating because he can seriously just zone out and not eat. I'm not saying that you're anorexic or anything, but he just sometimes forgets to eat. Not really. You remember. It's just.
Well, this sounds stupid, but sometimes eating is annoying. Like you're not at a stopping point on your painting, and it's like time to eat, and your stomach's like you're gonna pass out, and like, nah, bro, I'm trying to get the specular on this nose just right. But I mean, yeah, I credit her with opening my priorities a bit, because when I was in Austin, honestly, I had what would be the right word? A depressing life of only working and that's it. Like that was literally the only thing I did at all. Like I was working like 110, 20-hour weeks. It's stupid, right? I mean, I ended up in the hospital. And I said, my work is the only thing that's important to me. And you had to force me. Because I told you, I'm like, I can't date you, right? I'm so busy. I was working on a comic series. Like, I can't date you. You're crazy. But I had a sort of like this epiphany that I really enjoyed my time with you. And should be priorities in the world with family and relationships and work, and you can't just work. What are you going to share it with, So yeah, I mean, she provided that.
Yeah.
And so I'm a lot more normalish now. I try to have more of a set studio schedule, although after this I got to do some stuff. But yeah. I got to write. Well, I won't say what I'm writing.
No, don't.
But yeah, so I think we provided that. Maybe I provided a little of the work ethic and you took it away, but in the best way possible, if you know what I mean.
We both are like, we're similar, but we're also like, we have some opposites. Like, I would say we do enjoy the same type of music, but he goes on another level with the rapping stuff. Like, he listens to ignorant rap, and
whoa.
It is ignorant.
I listen to all rap, not just there's a time.
Okay, well,
for
but
Gucci Mane.
I'm just relating it to what I'm like. I'm never in the mood for Gucci Mane. Like, no, it's never in the mood.
It's always a good time for Gucci Mane.
Oh, anyways, Raymond, I really appreciate it because you're the only one asking questions. But it's funny that you mentioned that for the fact that Raymond asked, Francis, can you give us a sample of your rapping abilities? And for a while, actually, while I was driving to Miami for the workshop, I was thinking of this interview all, like, for the past 2 weeks, trying to figure out what I'm going to ask him and how it's going to, flow and all this other stuff. And as I was driving, I'm like, this boy loves his R&B and his rap. And what better way to handle that than to make him show us his awesome skills at it.
I knew you were going to ask something.
I know. I didn't want to tell him. I wanted to keep it a secret, but I had to kind of like ask him a few questions.
At dinner, I was like, I think I know what you're going to do tonight.
You did. Yeah. It's the same thing for my birthday. Anyways, so do you prefer to rap or do you prefer to give us an R&B soul sensation?
I think what the fans want to see. I think what they really want to see is R&B hands.
R&B hands?
And I'll throw some girls out there. You want a preview? Should I give them a preview?
Preview it up.
Girl! Right? There's literally probably no girls watching, but if they were, they'd be getting a little flustered.
I mean, my heart is like panting right now. So how I was going to do it is I'm going to put his heavy duty,
Where did you get those?
I went to your studio when I was done with the gym. I stole his key. Yeah, we have no secrets. Anyways. So I stole his headphones from his studio. It's like pretty much soundproof almost. I'm going to turn off his iPod pretty loud so he can't hear himself. He can only hear the music. Unfortunately, I had no other way for y'all to hear what he was playing, so you can't like hear like the what's it called, the actual track of the song. But it's gonna be an acapella, right? Acapella, where there's no music.
Am I singing?
You're gonna be singing out loud, but they're not gonna hear the sound other than your voice. So it's acapella, right? That's what acapella is. Acapella.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get an exclusive Francis Vallejo right now, and before
this is a world exclusive.
yeah, and before the actual show began, I asked him what song, like out of Michael Jackson's Bad album, what song does he want? And
Well, I didn't know I'd be picking it. I picked sort of a slow jam.
well, but that's
okay.
R&B though. Do you know the words to Man in the Mirror?
I mean, to an extent, I think it'd be better if I didn't know them all and I just tried. I know the lyrics to a song. Have any of you done this? I know the lyrics to a song before it comes on, like before I've ever heard it. So like when I'm in my head while I'm rapping or singing to a song, I'm like, yeah, I'm killing it, nailing it, right? But then if you turned off the music and heard me, I'm just going to the beat. So I'm probably gonna do that now.
Okay, so out of Bad, which song do you think you'd be awesome at? You can answer that right now.
Let me answer you, streamer. Any artists that are alive that would be Rockwell, Norman Rockwell.
You had a horrible. Sorry, actually, this person asked
Oh.
Francis, "Is there any artist you can meet, dead or alive? Who would it be?"
I forgot people
Yeah.
can't see that. Yeah, any artist that are alive, Norman Rockwell. I think he's the greatest artist that ever lived. His influence on art is monumental. He's the most reproduced artist, the most seen artist ever. I think there's a lot of value in that. And he's immensely influenced my own work as far as his process, his use of reference, his composition, his experimentation, his dedication to craft. But I would like to ask him questions like, how does that affect your family life? Because there's some stories that it definitely did. So that would be amazing. I think one of my rap lyrics, exclusive, when I was like in high school or like college, I was like, and I'm joking. I never really did it seriously, but I always did want to be a rapper, but I never did it seriously. But one of them, I'm with my art nerd friends, right? We're talking about like Soroya and Todd McFarlane in the same sentence, right? We're talking about compositional cues and rule of thirds and all this, and then like the song comes on. I'm like, you can call me Norman 'cause I rock well, and everyone's just sort of like, woo! And that's like the highlight of my. Okay.
All right, so we're gonna begin the acapella. Is it acapella or acapello?
Acapella.
Okay. So we're gonna begin the acapella, and maybe I'll like do this for every person that comes on my couch. But they have.
What's the title of this segment?
I don't know. I'll just think of one like.
The smooth stylings.
Yeah. Well, okay. What song do you want? We never.
I don't know. Do it random. Well, no, don't do it random. I know the
Want to
words.
do Man in the Mirror?
I mean, that's fine. Everyone likes Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
If you don't,
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you people. Which bad album song do you want Francis to sing
I don't
acapella
think they
to?
want me to, but
I mean, well, you're gonna have to. It's you can leave if you don't want to listen to this. But I swear it's gonna be the most glorious thing of your entire life, and you're just gonna cry. You're just gonna cry. Tears are gonna come. I'll give you like 5 seconds to give me a dang song. I'm just kidding. I'm sweet. I'm trying to think of one like I know too, but like to know if you're doing it well. But I guess Man in the Mirror is fine. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right.
Yeah, they said Man in the Mirror.
All right, Man in the Mirror. Man in the Mirror it is. It in its beginning.
People have spoken.
It's really loud.
I don't know how to approach this. I'm probably talking really loud now because the music's on. I wanna make a change. The events in my life.
Oh, he's a kid. Oh.
Gonna be real good.
You gotta say louder.
Gonna make
Louder.
it
You're in front of the audience.
I don't know what this is. I'm fighting the what's involved. The thing is all in my life. But if the end is states, they don't have to hesitate for the mind to mind, but it's to take the see me. I failed of disregard. The broken back real time. In a one day there's a soul. By the way, the round of the soul. And I died to flare and go down, down, do. Stuck in just a man in the mirror. Okay, cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. That was a weird experience.
Do you want to just do Eminem's, like, rapping something that you actually know the words to?
I think the world exclusive is over. I think that's about as much as they can take.
I wanted you to do a song that you knew the words to. You didn't know the words to that song.
I know. I'm not good with lyrics. I'm not.
You're good at Eminem.
I mean, I'm pretty good with Eminem.
It would take like 5 years to get
Maybe version 2. The follow-up episode.
The follow-up episode. Yeah. Francis Vallejo exclusive number 2.
I think if you ask your guests to prepare it a little bit.
Prepare what?
Prepare their song. Then they can just tear it. Or they can lip sync and you can have the words like Jimmy Fallon. Not Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon. No, Fallon does it.
There's too many Jimmys on my night.
Too many Jimmys.
Too many Jimmys. Yeah, unfortunately, they too. So, okay, so now Alejandro replied with a name of a song, but he didn't answer a question if he did photography. But obviously, I guess he does do photography because it says. Well, now he's not even on anymore. But, well, anyways.
They're leaving when they.
I came back.
Oh,
Anyways, is there, oh, sorry. The biggest important question of them all. What do you want to leave our fans, your fans, what are you doing right now? What is something that they need to look forward to? What they need to look at? What is something that is a Francis Vallejo, like, awesomeness right now that's out?
It's hard to say. I've taken a pilgrimage off the internet for like 3 years now. Although I've been working really hard behind the scenes. If you want to follow my Instagram that has no pictures on it, it's Francis Vallejo Art. That's the name of my Instagram. And honestly, though, as far as what I'm doing right now, I have went off the internet. I really needed to take a hiatus and just focus on my stuff. I put a lot of effort into the social media, and I'm still on it a bit, like helping you. But I've just been doing a lot of big projects in the background. So know that I have all of my online platforms are new. I just haven't necessarily formally released them. That goes Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, website, Twitter, all sorts of other goodies that I'm working on too, store. And I have big projects that are nearing completion.
Big.
I don't want to say what they are, just to jinx me myself, because I've done that in the past.
He does that to me a lot. I'll have an opportunity come, and he'll tell our roommate or somebody randomly that we meet. He's like, "Oh, did you know L.Shima is part of this and that?" And I'm like, "Really? Like, it hasn't even happened yet." And you just probably jinx it. And it usually happens. Like, it doesn't work out. Every time you do that,
I'm dating L.Shima. I gotta brag.
Yeah, he brags about me more than I brag about myself. Like, especially our roommate Andy. I might have Andy like be our special guest one day. He's an artist as well. Yeah. Just imagining how that interview will happen. But he'll like constantly like go and tell Andy everything about what's going on in my life, and I'll come out like from the room or something, and I'm like, how does Andy already know about this gig? And he's like, "Oh, I told him like 5 seconds ago." I'm like, really? You're always he loves me.
I'd like to think she loves me too.
I do love her. Anyways.
So how about this? I have to visit the restroom, and I'll think of my closing, and then they can ask any questions. Do you think? Let me go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
I always wondered, every time I do my podcast, usually they have an hour. And before this one started, Francis was like, "Oh, why do you always have, like, your podcast be only an hour? Typically, a lot of the podcasts go, like, 5 hours long and stuff." And I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like nobody wants to listen to me for, like, more than a damn hour. But I figured with especially these interviews, it's more of, like, the interviewees, like moment of shine. It's their time to be on the podcast, and I'm just gonna be like the one answering questions or asking questions here and there, and just making sure that they're constantly talking. And with Francis, I made sure that was not gonna be an issue whatsoever. But I don't know if y'all are down for me doing my podcast for a longer than an hour if it happens, shorter than for an hour if it happens. I've just been, for the past 3 episodes, I've always made sure that it was an hour exact, so nobody is like, nobody's wasting time, or I'm killing everybody's, night or whatever. But the L in my name actually is a secret. I will not give that away unless you pay me through PayPal. That is the only way you will find out what the L stands for the fact that I can't take that off PayPal. Please don't break any of my stuff. Hi, L.Shima. What goals do you have besides modeling that you like to try or are already working on? I just did that. Basically, my goals, that's always really a tough question for me to answer. Currently, right now, I just want to be inspiring others and showing everyone the life and the process of what it takes to become a model, especially when the newbies, the ones that just started out with this career, they have no idea. I never even knew what it was going to be like being a model and what it took, especially with the business side, like we mentioned. So with this podcast, the podcast is a great opportunity for me to show that side of modeling and get everyone to understand kind of like the modeling 101, or how, what my daily life is like being a model. I mean, I post on Instagram and I, tweet on Twitter, but it never really shows exactly what's going on, because usually I try to post things that make me seem really freaking fantastically awesome, that like people just want to like beg to be me. But yeah, like Francis said, I'm pretty normal. I literally am on the computer 24/7. I mean, I'm awesomely normal, but Shima, what is your dream project in modeling? Man, my dream project is basically to like shoot so many fashion imagery with any person. I wouldn't say any, but with a very high top quality fashion designer, especially when it comes to brands such as like brands such, I'm really bad at naming brands, but like ones that are similar to the hundreds. What are the brands? Supreme. This dope ass company that I'm already like shooting content for, but under LA. Like things like along those lines, as well as like the high fashion ones with the evening gowns and expensive $1,000 shoes. That would be awesome. That would be like, and to travel the world. Like, I mean, I've traveled the United States and that's pretty awesome too, but to like go to Japan for a gig. You know how awesome that would be? I would literally, if that actually happened, like they had a plane ticket for me, had a place for me to crash, and actually had a gig lined up, and like it was legit, I would literally stare at Francis and be like, oh my god, that'd be so
It'll
epic.
happen.
Oh my god, just imagining it. So epic. Anyways, okay. This one is for you. Get ready. Francis, are you selling your art regularly? Are you making a living with it? Ooh.
I am, yeah. That's what I do. I'm an illustrator, and I create pictures for others. So I think selling art regularly, I sell my art through my online store. If you go to my website you gave earlier, you can get there and check that out. You can get the link. I forget the link.
Yeah, I know.
You can link it from my site. But yeah, I'm not necessarily like exhibiting and doing gallery stuff. I did that for a while, but I'm restructuring that direction. But yeah, I mean, I'll do stuff for like Playboy, or I'll do stuff for just this weekend. I had 4 days to knock out 81 storyboards for a studio in Chicago that was shooting commercials for this place in California. So yeah, I'm a commercial artist. I get hired by clients, and then I supplement that with teaching. And I've been fortunate to be doing that for a while now, and it's pretty cool.
And if you go and open his store, you may see some illustrations that I was a reference photo or reference model for. And I will tell you, being a reference model for artists is ridiculous. Like, they need references for a lot of things, especially when they're trying to. I mean, I guess everyone, even like not graphic designers, but animation artists, they need references.
Figurative artists and
Yeah,
all artists, but I mean
yeah,
particularly figurative artists.
Yeah, particularly figurative artists, but especially there was one. He did an album cover for this.
Go ahead.
He did an album cover for this one rapper that I won't say the name of, but I really have grudges for him. Anyways, doesn't need to be said. Anyways, but I had to do my hands. It was basically a hands illustration that he did, and you would think, I had to hold a platter. But he had to have it in a certain way that I had to, like, distort my hand in this most ridiculous way. And in my hand, I'm like, Francis, this is not normal. This is not natural. And he's like, yeah, but just how it will transfer into the actual image itself, well, it's going to look normal. But I'm, like, hurting my hand trying to hold this. So you may see some L.Shima references in there. You might see some other stuff. But, you're excited for this next question, I can tell.
Someone asked, what do you think of Boris Vallejo? I just cracked up because that question has followed me my whole career. It's just like a running joke now, and I get it. I mean, we have the same last names, no big deal. I've actually spoken with Boris a few times about it. And
the photo of Francis and Boris together.
Yeah,
I took it.
Yeah, it was pretty silly, but yeah, like I think I joked to Boris, I'm like his illegitimate son. I've talked to his actual sons about it. It's pretty goofy, but I think his work's great. He really defined that. How would you say, like, oh geez, what's that? Heavy metal magazine covers. He really defined that look. Like the really muscular, like, warrior look. I think it's great. His craft is excellent. And he's good. He's good. I'm actually not related. In general, people assume I am. Like, anytime people that might not be familiar with my work, honestly, and you've seen it, like, the first thing, man, you're lucky. You're Boris's son. Man, that must have been great. But the same last name.
But soon it will be, people will come up to Boris and be like, man, you're Francis Vallejo's father? Holy shit. And that will be the day. That will be the moment.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
It's funny. Coming from my background, I didn't even know who Boris Vallejo was until actually I started working at this one job that sold a few of his would they be comics? They're like they're books of his.
Book covers usually.
Yeah, usually, and so that's the only how I knew who Boris was. But then after dating Francis and being in the art scene, like, his name is thrown around a lot.
She's kidding me.
Yeah, his name is being thrown around a lot, and it's like, after a while, too, I'll hear names, and it's hard for me learning all these names and memorizing them. Like, I've learned so many artist names throughout the couple years. Kira, I'm gonna stop being right there. Dog is hitting the video camera, so it's like, hopefully, nothing bad happens, but anyways.
Well, he thought that, this was going to be Boris drawing you. That's what this thing was going to be.
Oh. That would have been dope, though.
Well, Boris. I'm not Boris. But maybe in the future, I can draw her. If y'all are interested. Or maybe that can, like, check it out. Light bulb.
He comes up with these ideas randomly.
What if you're interviewing someone or whatever, and, like, you have a secondary camera? I'm not part of the interview, but I'm drawing her.
Yeah, you're drawing me or drawing the other person?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Or not, or yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Maybe it's just the issue of bringing people here. We live in Sarasota, Florida. I mean, it's a nice little place, but nobody really comes this way. At least people that are, like, know me or are related to me don't really come over here. He has tons of his friends that come here, but me.
Well, the city's defined by the art school, so just a lot of artists come through here.
Yeah, there's barely any models. I mean, I try to, like, link up with models, but they don't. They want nothing with me. That should be nice. Okay. What does Francis think the cutest feature of L.Shima's looks? I'm judging you. I'm judging you hard right now.
I think she has a really, honestly, like exotic face. That's just always what I've been attracted to. Yeah, I've always liked the exotic look, something foreign-ish for whatever reason. That's just what I've been into, and I think hers is really unique, and I'm into that.
Did you think I was Hispanic when you first met me?
I mean, Austin's heavily Hispanic, so I thought you were probably something like that.
Yeah.
Your face was the first thing, and then I thought she was built strongly. So I was into that too.
I've been lifting weights, so now I'm
Yeah,
definitely strong.
lift,
You know,
bro.
I can,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you even lift, bro?
So how much? What else do you think? Are we close? Or should we
Close
keep
to
going?
wrapping. I mean, if anyone else has any other questions.
Last chance for a question.
Last chance. We got a live too, you know. We got, man, you know, we're probably going to play Super Mario Galaxy, actually.
I got it right.
Oh, yeah, god dang. I'm probably going to play Sims, because that's my life.
Her looks are escapist. I think, and I might be hyper analyzing it, but I think as like a visual dude, I like, you know, interesting look, a different look, and I think that's what she had. Like she's mixed with, you know, Irish, German, Japanese, and black, and I think that's pretty unique. And I was into that. I thought that was cool.
I posted that reply on Tumblr, one of the Tumblr questions. Dang, I didn't make my Tumblr questions. Oh man. I'm doing Tumblr questions tomorrow. I'm sorry, everyone. Dang, I just...
Bubble nuggets.
Oh, God. Anyways, but I answered that question where the person was like asking me my race and what I thought about race in the modeling industry, and I gave like black, white, or black, yeah, whatever. Somebody commented, it was just like,
no, you're black.
No, somebody, what?
Someone said that.
No, well, somebody also commented saying, well, black is ethnicity in Irish and all that stuff. It's like this other whatever word. And I'm like,
I mean, I get what they were saying. That was hyper, I mean, like really analytical.
Yeah, but yeah. Dang it! Yeah, I'm gonna do questions tomorrow on Tumblr. So. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. So I appreciate everyone stopping by and having Francis as well as our special guest. So I appreciate everyone that, you know, didn't rip him to shreds and didn't rip me to shreds to, you know, my weird way of interviewing. I was also trying not to like be like the standard interviewers that like ask like the boring questions. So.
Well, I'll say it was, I've done a bunch of podcasts, not a few, I guess, podcasts, audio, and the experience of doing it with video, with live questions is super different. That's all you know. This is like your house.
I know. It is like my house, but I take it serious. But anyway, so everyone have a superb Wednesday and whatever day you're listening / watching this. Next week it will be same time, Wednesday at 10 p.m. and I may go longer than an hour. I may go shorter than an hour. Who knows? It's just whatever comes to mind. So everyone have a fabulous day and check out francisvallejo.com as well as all of his story, blog, Twitter, and Instagram that he does not post photos to. So, any last words, Mr. Vallejo?
Be cool.
Oh, that's
This one doesn't
okay.
work.
All right.
Supposed to make a noise.
Bye, everyone.
In the midst of negativity, a positive sight can be blurred. And the visions that we thought were good seems to let evil occur. While still possessing our human form, we live life searching for greatness since the day we was born. And as we bow our heads at night, rich, wealthy, or poor with dislikes, we pray, asking for forgiveness for our sinful ways. With mind, body, spirit, and faith, we pray.